As a recruiter and obviously a job seeker as well, previously in my career, a big part of the whole job hunting process is rejections. Okay. This is like the most common thing that I see people talking about in their job searching in today's world. Okay. Rejections, 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 getting ghosted, getting rejected, all of it. It sucks 100%. Okay. Now, in this video, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about some good ways that I feel like you can actually handle rejections and learn from the experience and actually grow from it a lot more effectively and productively to help you in that next stage of your job hunting process, okay? Rather than just having the pity party and getting angry and then feeling, angry at yourself and then feeling sorry for yourself and then taking time away from your job hunt and then going back, getting rejected again, and then repeating the whole process, okay? So in this episode, I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about some better ways that you can handle rejection to actually grow from the experiences a lot more effectively, okay? So to start off, I'm going to have to get the one like corny thing out of the way, and that is focus on the positives, okay? This is something that helped me a lot when I was going through my job hunting period, and all I can talk about really is from my own experience. So when I first got out of university, I was applying for a bunch of jobs, like so many things that weren't even relevant to what I actually wanted to do, but I would rather have had a job that I didn't like over no job. So at the end of the day, I was there applying for a bunch of jobs and I was getting interviews. I was having screening calls, like I was getting, people reaching out to me in return. Okay. Now, there were a couple of companies that I actually got to the final round of interviews, but I just didn't make it through. Okay. Now, first things first, obviously it sucked to get rejected. Nobody wants to get rejected in any metric or any aspect of life. Okay. When you get rejected, you feel not wanted. Okay. You feel like, all right, there's somebody out there that is objectively better than you. That's how it feels and it sucks. Okay. I get it. You get it. Everybody gets it. Okay. But the first things first, I will genuinely say that helped me with my job searching and getting rejected was actually focusing on the positives that, hey, not only did I get a screening call, not only did I get through the first interview, not only did I even get through the second interview, but I got through to the final stage of interviews with a company. Like that's really, really impressive in today's world where, you're putting out 1,000 applications. You don't even hear back from the majority of them. So the fact that you are even getting into these interviews is an achievement in itself. And it may not sound like a lot, but trust me, it is. Okay. Secondly, with these positives, you can focus on now lessons. You can focus on trying to understand what went wrong, how did it go wrong, and you can build on that from there. That's the exciting part now, guys, about going out to these interviews. Even if you don't land them, even if you don't actually get the jobs, you now have a whole lot more practical experience with interviewing over the guy who didn't even get the call. Okay, this is so important as well. I find a lot of people, they'll watch a lot of videos on how to interview, how to do this, how to do that, blah, blah, blah. The best way to get experience is to be thrown in the deep end and to just do it. So the most important thing I would say here is obviously focus on the positives that you were selected as the person to get through to that final stage or whatever stage that you were at. Your profile was still looked at as attractive in some way to get you to that stage. Focus on the positives there, but also take away the valuable experiences that you've learned, that you've now gone through an interviewing process. You've now dealt with a different type of hiring manager. You've dealt with, a different type of personality. You've answered a set of questions that you would never have answered if you didn't get that interview. Okay, so focus on the positives like that for starters, and that's just level 0. So don't focus too much on it. Don't be too hard on yourself, but just take that step back and objectively realize, like, hey, yeah, this was good. I did some good things here. You did some good things. There are some good habits that you can now build on for that next stage. Okay, so take the positives first and foremost. Secondly, now, ask meaningful questions, okay? So when you get the rejected email or they call you and they reject you, actually ask meaningful questions. Don't just be like, oh, do you have any feedback for me? And that's it. Because what they're going to do is they're just going to keep it nice and general, okay? They're going to go, oh, yeah, you did this well, but, try on this, blah, blah, blah. Be really specific, okay? Really try to understand what it was about you that they didn't like, okay? Now, you don't have to, harass them. You don't have to talk in an aggressive tone or anything like that. But as a recruiter, what I would appreciate, is like, and what I would also do when I was going in for jobs was literally saying, like when they would be like to me, oh yeah, the person that we've picked, they just have a little bit more experience, blah, blah, blah. I would be like, okay, how much more experience do they have than me? You know what I mean? Just something little like that that'll help you get that little bit more insight. So, for that level of job, they will be looking for somebody of 2 years experience or of 5 years experience or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Or they'll be like to you, oh, we just felt maybe you were better suited in this environment. Be like, okay, what made you feel like that? What was it about my answering that led you to believing that? Or follow up and be like, look, do you have any positions in that industry? Do you know anybody who'd be open to hiring in that industry? Like, you see, with everything that they say, you can follow back on and ask more questions about. You know what I mean? That's what you need to be able to do. You need to be able to ask meaningful questions that are going to be relevant to your development as a person and your job searching. Okay? Because at the end of the day, a lot of recruiters, they're just going to give you that generic feedback. But if you really want to investigate it, especially if you're over the phone, because they're not going to just hang up the phone and ignore you. Be like to them, hey, look, what was it specifically about this? Or when you say I lack this, what was it about that? Was it the way that I answered this question? What would have been a good answer for the people that did progress to the next round? What did they do differently than me? Was it the way that I dressed? Was it the way that I spoke? Whatever it is, just build on what they're saying that you need to do differently and ask more questions. Okay? Ask more questions and be open to learn. Okay? If you're going to go into it with a narrow-minded mindset, or you're going to go into it with an argumentative mindset, you're not going to go anywhere. It's not appreciated. Okay? And that's going to leave a bad taste in the recruiter's mouth. Okay? And you don't want that to happen. All right? So ask meaningful questions so you now have something to work with in order to grow and develop in your own job searching. Okay? It's genuinely very, very simple to do. So you do this and you will already be taking on more information than the guy who just gets rejected and goes thanks and moves on. Okay? My third point, keep in touch. Okay? A lot of these companies, they'll reject you, but nothing's stopping you from following up in 2 or 3 weeks and being like, hey, you got any other opportunities available? Or hey, do you know anybody else who may be hiring in this industry? Whatever it is. Particularly, guys, with recruitment agencies, keep in touch. Okay, if they really like you as a person and they think you've got some good qualities and they're sincere in what they're saying, keep in touch. At the end of the day, recruiters get paid to fill roles. Okay, so you keeping in touch with a recruiter, all that's doing is adding another person to their pipeline that they're going to remember to put in for a better suited job, because that's how they make their money. At the end of the day, you know what I mean? Their job is to get the business the best possible candidate and the candidate the best possible opportunity. Okay, so by you keeping in touch, you make their job a little bit easier, that they don't have to go out and look for somebody else. Okay, they've got you already in their scope. Okay, and you do this now by keeping in touch and keeping familiar. Okay, don't keep in touch and harass them and be like, I know I mentioned before to ask, do you have any opportunities going at the moment? You can still ask about that, but you don't want to be constantly asking about that. You know what I mean? Just touch base. Hey, how's things going here? I noticed you were hiring here. How's that search going? Or just, keep in touch. Just be like, hey, just following up, seeing how things are going, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, just soft touches up. Nothing, there's no problems there at all. Okay? Because at the end of the day, by the time you're keeping in touch, you're staying familiar in their system. And then the more familiar that you are, hopefully you'll come across as pleasant and they'll remember that. And then when the right opportunity comes about, they'll know you. They'll be like, yep, James, he was great, get him in. Okay? One thing I also really recommend is that if you can, try to organize a call. Try to organize a call with these recruiters or hiring managers and just really try to break down what worked and what didn't. You know what I mean? That's also really, really important just to get as much effective feedback as possible. But my third point here in particular is just keeping in touch. Okay, keeping in touch, liking their LinkedIn posts, checking in, seeing how they're going, blah, 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 whatever it is. You know what I mean? Just keep in touch with the recruiters, keep in touch with the hiring managers, maintain those relationships so you come across as professional and respectable as possible. Okay? Because all of these behaviors, guys, they're going to compound. And then eventually, as I've said before, they're going to have the right opportunity for you because hopefully in your interview period, you'd have talked about what type of job you specifically want and what would be a, good environment for you. Hopefully, because you're staying in touch with them, they'll remember you and they'll remember what you want because you were specific about it, and then they'd be able to get in touch with you regarding that right opportunity when that time comes. Okay? So you see now how by keeping in touch and staying familiar, you do all these good things, eventually it'll come back to you and help you down the track. Okay? It's just a much more effective strategy than getting rejected and burning the relationship right there and then. Okay? Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys did and you're interested in working with me on a one-to-one level, click that link below for a free consultation. Happy to organize a 30-minute chat. Take care, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.